All right, I'm going to try and keep this quick and simple. I've tried a few times to get this and I keep screwing it up. So, and I'm not exactly the world's best editor. So, this is my speaker system. I've got 3 amplifiers. This is a 50 watt by 50 watt 2-channel. The one on the left is a 100 watt by 100 watt with a 100 watt subwoofer line down to a 10-inch sub that I bought for like $20 at auction. Like junk auctions. So the 100 watt channel is there, and then the one on the right is a maximum of 160 watt per channel at 4 ohms of resistance. All of these are at 4 ohms resistance. All of them, new amplifiers can handle between 4 and 8 ohms. Most of them are built to handle actually between, the more expensive ones will do between 2 and 8 ohms. So and there isn't really, they'll do anything in there in between, for the most part. Most of the new ones. The old amplifiers, you had to be very, very careful about what your overall, what everything was that rated at. And like I couldn't, you have to be careful how you wire everything up too. So, but anyways, I'm using Dayton Audio drivers, purchased mostly from Parts Express. You can also get them on Amazon. Parts Express requires, if you order the wrong stuff, Parts Express has a return fee, a restocking fee. So if you get them off of Amazon and you screw it up, then you can send it back and you don't have to pay a restocking fee. So the 50 watt channel is running, the 250s, the center amplifier is running my outboard speakers. Those are polystyrene. By the way, this is all based off of a YouTube channel called Tech Ingredients. The first video in the series was World's Best Speakers for Under $100. And so that's what the one outboard ones are. They're the pink polystyrene construction board. They work extremely well using a 140 watt driver per board, and that works out extremely well. I wasn't too worried about being a 40 watt driver versus 50 watt amplifier on each channel, because the wiring is going to lose probably the full extent of the 20% of power. And then as far as that goes, I have the amplifiers turned down just a little bit to make sure that I'm not running max power, and I don't ever run my computer at max power anyway, so it turns out to be a moot point. The center one is plywood, and those are running 2 drivers. I believe they are 20 watt drivers in series, and that would make them 8 ohms total, and 40 watts across the 2 maybe. And then, because this is a 100 watt per channel, but that's at 4 ohms, so at 8 ohms it would only be 50 watts. So that would make sense then. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I put this together. And then these ones over here were specials from Parts Express at the time. They were doing a sale on them. They are 4 pucks per pack, and I have 2 packs on each board. And they were, I don't remember the wattage on those. I just remember that I worked it out to be about 6 ohms of resistance, and it's running into my 160 watt per channel amplifier, and I have it turned down to about 70% of the max volume, so that way I don't have to worry about accidentally blowing them. Some lessons learned there. I did not put epoxy on the back of these boards, and I should have, because the glue on those is not holding very well to the wood. The wood fibers are kind of peeling off, pulling apart as it absorbs moisture and then re-dries out. They're also warping. I didn't seal them or anything, and I probably should have done some sort of sealant of some kind to keep them from absorbing moisture. So that did not happen. So that's the setup. The fishing line in the back, 80-pound test fishing line, everything is suspended to try to minimize any sort of I wanted to minimize any kind of vibrations that I don't want. So that's why everything is suspended the way that it is. I mean, those are just looped around up at the top and then wrapped up through the turnbuckle. I don't know if I covered it yet in this video. So you got the brackets off of Thingiverse. The other pieces there up at the top originally just hung there. They didn't have anything else hanging off of them or anything. They were just hanging down, and then but they kept on vibrating off. So I ended up putting an arm on the other side of this one here with the round stock through it, and in order to put it on, you just have it rotate the portion that's hanging down right now. You rotate that up, and horizontally it rotates on the pin and is held in place by gravity because it can't lift up to pull back out. And that worked out phenomenally well to solve the problem. And there you can see the little armature on the top, kind of, maybe. There we go. Yeah, you can see the arm going through. Basic wires, nothing real fancy. Except for this line here was a little bit more expensive. That's coming from my computer audio. And then I've got run into a splitter. I think I have it run into 2 splitters actually, which is not the best setup. It was supposed to be temporary, and then it turned into I don't feel like working on it anymore and became permanent. This is all hiding the wiring. All of the wiring is being hid behind these things. And I made excess of that because I went through it like 2 or 3 times of having to recut wires because I made them too short. Well, I made them long enough for the task at the time, and then I went ahead and adjusted it and decided that I wanted it in a different way, and then they were too short, and then I had to cut new ones. So that's why the wiring is so long. This is all wires hidden behind here, and then, you know, these coming over here all come over to the power here. I don't remember in this video yet if I talked about the power or not, but here's the power. It works phenomenally well. The only problem is, of course, is like I was saying, is I think I'm getting a hum from that power switch. It may not be, it may be from one of the amplifiers because the amplifiers are not that expensive. So that's a possibility as well. Aside from all that, holes drilled in the top. Those are just little studs that I ended up 3D printing to go through to hold them up there. And cotter pins and epoxy glued in for the polystyrene boards. Tech Ingredients talks about how to do that. Since I'm hanging it suspended like I am, I did it from the back instead of from the top. He covers how to do it from the side and hanging them flat on the wall. So let me see if I can't get. I'll get the top view here so you can see what everything looks like up top. Sorry about the shaking from this thing. Alright, so there's the top. There again, 80-pound test fishing line is overkill, but it's what I had. All of the 3D printed stuff is just, you know, 3D printed. The carabiners were on Thingiverse. The other pieces up on top there are not anything special. I designed those myself. Those are just anchor points. I use drywall anchors to sink into the ceiling, and then those pieces there, the screw will fit through the hole, and you can drive it up, so then you have something to tie off onto. Originally, I had one fishing line tied to each cotter pin. So you can see the cotter pins there. So there's the cotter pins. He originally had them tied to each one, one strand to each one, but that meant 4 strands per each one, and tying a braided line into a knot, well, into 2 knots, one on each end, and having them work out to be the exact same length every time did not work out well for me. Maybe somebody a little bit more OCD about it can manage that. I could not, and I didn't have the patience to continue doing that. So instead, I ended up making 1 length of line per each one of these and attempted to make all of them the exact same length. And then, since it wraps around the entire thing, and then each one loops up and loops back down, which means that my discrepancies on the length has been divided by, each one of these has 2, so it divides it by whatever, like 8. So my total discrepancies on length is severely shortened in terms of how much it actually matters. So that one over there, I have a weird feedback from the corner of the room, and that's why I have those sound dampeners right there, and that really limited the feedback that I have, feedback issues that I have. But that's the sound system. Oh, these two in the center are plywood, pre-cut 2 foot by 2 foot plywood, and that would have been, I mean, those are nice. So the ones on the ends, the polystyrene has a very, very high treble, and so the music that I tend to listen to tends to be more bass oriented, usually heavy metal. So I wanted something that was more mid to low range audio, as well as a subwoofer, obviously. So I added those pieces there of plywood and epoxied everything on the back of those. I can show you those too. Those are that, and so they worked fairly well. They worked pretty well, all told. I have 2 drivers on each of those. I got one in the center and then one is offset. The offset is discussed in Tech Ingredients video for anybody that wants to actually copy this. He discusses it there. He has had numerous videos out since I did this project, and he came up with quite a few upgrades to it that I do not have. So bear that in mind as well. This is not the end-all be-all for it. He did quite a few other upgrades. Really, the best part about my system is the mounting of it. I did it a different way than a lot of other people have done it, and it seems to have worked out fairly well. I would not have needed all of this. This is a lot more sound than what I actually needed, but I was tinkering with it at the time, and I bought more than I needed. So, and there goes the dogs. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right there. I think I'll go ahead and I'll play the music for just a minute here. Let's see here. I am at, let's see, there's 30%, and all right, that's all I'm going to play. Hopefully it doesn't get copyright struck, but if it does, I don't really care. I'm not making a YouTube videos for money. So that gives you an idea. I've got to readjust that one. That one's kind of gone fugly. I don't think it's actually touching. No, it doesn't touch, but I don't like it. So I need to adjust that as well. But yeah, there we are, quick, down and dirty. That covers everything with it, and hope this helps somebody if somebody wants to make their own. But I mean, it works great. It's a really, really good sound system, and I really like it. So it's got a lot more volume than I need. I don't run it higher than 70% because at 70% I'm at 70 decibels, and I don't want to accidentally damage the dog's hearing if they're in the room with me. I don't let them in the room with me when it's at 70%. Right now it's at 30%, and I don't like having them in the room with me. I don't want to take a chance on them. So it's got a lot more ass behind it than what I actually need. But it works out great if I go ahead and turn the volume up to 100%, and I'm out in the living room, and it just rattles the house. But if I'm by myself, I don't mind that. So, but it's got plenty of ass behind it. So. All right, that's everything, and take care. Good luck. Hope somebody wants to try it out, and if you do, make a video of it and try to get something to set up online. Drop it on the YouTube and tag me in the links or something.